The character everyone forgets is the one Tolstoy was actually writing about, and it wasn't Anna. It was a shy, awkward landowner named Levin, sweating in a hayfield, and he was Tolstoy himself. Which means the most famous tragic love story ever written was never really about the love or the tragedy. It was about the man watching from the edge of the field. Here's the reading almost everyone carries out of Anna Karenina. A beautiful, passionate woman is trapped in a loveless marriage. She meets a dashing officer. She risks everything for love, society punishes her for it, and in the end she throws herself under a train. A doomed romance. A cautionary tale about a cold society crushing a woman who dared to feel. It's the version on every book cover, in every film adaptation, in every tragic heroine's listicle. But that reading gets the book exactly backwards. Because Tolstoy did not write a love story with a sad ending. He wrote a diptych, 2 panels, 2 lives, hung side by side and meant to be read against each other. On one panel, Anna, glamorous, magnetic, chasing passion straight off a cliff. On the other, Konstantin Levin, unglamorous, uncertain, slowly building a life that actually holds. 2 people. 1 question. And the whole novel is Tolstoy quietly telling you which of them found the answer. The question is this: how does a person live truthfully? And the clue that this is the real subject is sitting in the very first sentence. You know the line, even if you've never opened the book. Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. People quote it as a wistful little aphorism about relationships. But it isn't a mood. It's a thesis statement. Tolstoy is telling you, before the story even starts, what he intends to prove. That happiness, real happiness, is quiet, ordinary, almost boring. It looks the same everywhere because it's built from the same plain materials: honesty, work, love, faith. Unhappiness is where the drama lives. It's spectacular, singular, endlessly interesting. And that is exactly the trap. Because we are drawn to the spectacular. We remember Anna precisely because her unhappiness is dazzling. Watch how the book is engineered. It opens not with Anna, but with her brother Stiva, a cheerful, charming adulterer who has just been caught and who feels no real guilt, only inconvenience. Anna arrives to smooth over his marriage. And in that same opening movement, we meet Levin, who has come to Moscow to propose to the woman he loves, Kitty, and gets rejected because Kitty is infatuated with Anna's future lover, Vronsky. From the first pages, the 2 stories are braided together, sharing characters, mirroring each other. This is not accidental structure. This is architecture. And here's the part most readers miss entirely. Anna and Levin barely meet. In 800 pages, these 2 protagonists share a single scene, near the very end. Tolstoy keeps them apart on purpose. They are not meant to interact. They are meant to be compared. 2 experiments in how to live, run in parallel, and you, the reader, are the one holding the results side by side. Think about how strange that is for a moment. Most novels bring their heroes crashing together. Tolstoy does the opposite. He builds 2 entire worlds, the drawing rooms of St. Petersburg and Moscow on one side, the farms and forests of the Russian countryside on the other, and lets them run without ever really touching. When the 2 finally do meet, in that one late scene, Levin comes away moved and unsettled by Anna's charm, half in love with her for an evening. And that's the point. Even Levin can feel the pull of the spectacular life. The question the book keeps asking is whether you'll build your existence on that pull, or on something slower and stronger. So look at what each of them is actually chasing. Anna is chasing a feeling. When she falls for Vronsky, it's electric, total, real. Tolstoy never mocks the intensity of it. Her marriage to Karenin is genuinely cold. Her husband is a man of surfaces, obsessed with appearances and career. Anna's rebellion starts as something almost heroic, a refusal to keep performing a marriage that's dead inside. And for that honesty, society doesn't just punish her, it exiles her. The same drawing rooms that wink at her brother's affairs slam shut on her, because she's a woman, and because she refused to be discreet. But here's where Tolstoy turns the knife, and it's crueler than the social judgment. Anna's tragedy isn't that society destroys her. It's that passion, as a foundation for a life, cannot hold weight. Once she has Vronsky, once the feeling is achieved, there's nothing underneath it. No work, no faith, no larger meaning. Just the feeling itself, which by its nature can't stay at full intensity. So she starts to police it. She grows jealous, suspicious, addicted to reassurance, terrified that his love is cooling. She builds a whole existence on a single emotion and then watches, helplessly, as that emotion refuses to stay put. By the end, she's taking opium to sleep and cataloging imagined betrayals. The passion that liberated her becomes the cage. That's the warning. Now here's the answer, and it's happening in the other half of the book, where the scenery is fields instead of ballrooms. While Anna's story burns brighter and brighter, Levin's story just deepens. He's an anxious intellectual who can't stop asking the big questions. Why am I alive? What's it all for? He proposes, gets rejected, goes home humiliated, and then does the least dramatic thing imaginable. He goes back to work. He runs his estate. He argues about farming reform. He worries. And in the novel's most quietly astonishing scene, he picks up a scythe and spends an entire day mowing hay alongside his own peasants. Nothing happens. No affair, no scandal, no train. Just a man, a field, and hours of hard physical labor. And Tolstoy renders it as something close to a religious experience, the self dissolving into rhythm and effort, the anxious questioning mind finally going quiet. Levin isn't performing happiness. He's doing the unglamorous work that happiness is actually made of. And that scene wasn't invented. Tolstoy did exactly this. He genuinely mowed hay with the peasants on his estate at Yasnaya Polyana. He wrestled, all his life, with the same paralyzing questions about faith and meaning. Levin isn't a character Tolstoy imagined. Levin is Tolstoy, barely disguised. Even the name comes from Tolstoy's own first name, Leviticus. He gave his hero his autobiography, his doubts, his marriage, his spiritual crisis, and his hard one, fragile answer. So when the novel ends, and this is the part that stuns people who only know the train, it doesn't end with Anna at all. Anna dies about 100 pages before the book is over. And Tolstoy keeps going. He follows Levin. Kitty eventually accepts him. They marry. They have a child. Levin nearly loses his mind to the fear of death and meaninglessness, until, in the final pages, he overhears a peasant say something simple about living for the soul, for God, and not for one's belly. And something clicks. Not a lightning bolt. A quiet settling. Levin realizes he'll never fully understand the meaning of life, but that he can live rightly anyway, day by day, in love and work and faith. The novel ends not with a suicide, but with a man, standing under the stars, deciding that his life, whatever it means, is his to live truthfully. That is the endorsement. Anna's story is the elegy. Levin's is the argument. And now for the history, because the making of this book is almost as strange as the book itself. The train wasn't invented either. In 1872, near Tolstoy's estate, a woman named Anna Pirogova, the discarded mistress of a neighboring landowner, threw herself under a train out of jealousy and despair. Tolstoy went to see her body at the railway station. He never forgot it. The image of the woman and the train sat in him for years before it became the spine of his novel. Anna Karenina's death was borrowed, in part, from a real Anna who died the same way. Then there's the fight that nearly broke the book apart. Anna Karenina was published in installments in a journal run by an editor named Mikhail Katkov. But when Tolstoy delivered the final part, the part where Levin wrestles with faith and where Tolstoy voices sharp criticism of Russia's war fervor over Serbia, Katkov refused to print it. Too political, too against the patriotic mood. So the great novel of Russian literature limped to its ending. The serialization stopped short, and Tolstoy had to publish that crucial final section separately on his own. The ending everyone now reads as inevitable was, at the time, censored out of the magazine. And one more. Dostoevsky, Tolstoy's great rival, the other titan of Russian fiction, read Anna Karenina as it came out and called it flawless as a work of art, a novel with which nothing comparable in the literatures of Europe could stand. Two men who could barely be in the same room, and one of them declared the other had written something perfect. So why does this 200-year-old diptych matter to you, scrolling a feed tonight? Because we live inside Anna's half of the book now. We have built entire platforms devoted to the performance of happiness. Every feed is a highlight reel of spectacular, singular, curated joy, the wedding, the trip, the achievement, the glow. It's all Anna, intensity, image, the feeling of a good life displayed for others. And it produces exactly what it produced in her. Comparison. Jealousy. The gnawing sense that everyone's passion is realer than yours. The addiction to reassurance, one more like, one more look, is it still there? Does he still love me? And Levin's half, the actual work of a meaningful life, is the part that never photographs well. The unglamorous labor. The faith you rebuild in private. The ordinary Tuesday of doing your work, loving the people in your house, and asking honestly what any of it is for. Nobody posts the hayfield. But the hayfield is where Tolstoy tells us the real life is lived. That's the whole argument of the book, and it's why the first line matters so much. Happy families are all alike, because a truthful life looks, from the outside, almost boring. Unhappiness is the one that photographs beautifully. Anna is the story we can't look away from. Levin is the one we're supposed to become. Everyone remembers the woman and the train. Almost nobody remembers the man in the field. Tolstoy knew that would happen. And that gap between who we remember and who he was actually writing about is the most honest thing in the entire novel. If this changed how you think about Anna Karenina, subscribe. We break down the most important books ever written, one argument at a time. New video every week. And if this was worth 10 minutes of your life, hit like. It helps the channel more than you think.